Welcome to Post Fight with Ray Thompson. This show is powered by MMA Crypt and MMA Mental. For more interviews and podcasts, please subscribe to our YouTube channels, MMA Crypt and MMA Mental. You can also follow MMA Crypt on Facebook and Twitter. It's at MMA Crypt on Twitter and MMA Crypt on Facebook. To follow me, it's at MMA Mental on Twitter and Ray Thompson on Facebook. I'm now joined by Ray, the Tas-Mexican Devil Borg. Ray Borg is coming off of his first UFC victory at UFC Fight Night 44 over Shane Howell, taking his pro record to 7-1 and his UFC record to 1-1. Ray, thank you very much for joining me.
Hey, no problem, man. It's my pleasure.
And congratulations on picking up your first UFC victory.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
You're absolutely welcome. Now, let's talk a little bit about the build-up. Now, originally you were due to fight Ryan Benoit. How did you feel about your change of your opponent, and did it affect your training or your game plan?
The only thing, it affected is, obviously Shane Howell was quite a bit taller than, Ryan Benoit, but, luckily I train with a lot of guys who are at a tall height advantage over me, and, that's something that every great fighter can adapt to whatever's thrown in front of them. So, I just adapted to it, and unfortunately I wasn't able to fight Ryan Benoit. I think we would have put on an exciting fight, but, in the future our paths probably cross again.
Now, people talk about octagon jitters. Did this feel different to your first fight?
Yeah, it felt just totally different in a good way. I mean, the first fight I was really nervous. I mean, I was having thoughts that, I shouldn't have, and I've never had before, I kept thinking to myself, what if I lose my first UFC fight, this and that, and which wasn't a good deal. And even though it didn't show, it played effect into my game. I mean, obviously, fans saw what I was capable of this weekend, and that's the way I like to fight all the time, Unfortunately, against Ortiz, I had, a little bit of jitters and didn't get to perform how I would have liked, and, I let it all out this time against Shane Howell, and I came out, obviously victorious.
Now, you got a quick takedown and you got back mount quite quick as well. How confident were you could finish the fight from that position?
I was pretty confident, I mean, that's one of my specialties is the rear naked choke. I mean, I worked that extensively. I've been working that since I was 13 years old, and, it's one of my most polished techniques, and I was pretty confident that, especially when I got that body triangle on, that I'd be finishing it in that position.
Now, talk us through the choke and Howell going unconscious.
I just kind of, the first time I got it in, it was really, really sunk in. It was deep, but unfortunately, Shane was doing a good job of defending, and my grip started to slip, but I'm pretty seasoned in that position, and, I've been doing it a long enough time to know that I needed to adjust my grip, and, I just made small adjustments like any good grappler would, and I kept my composure, I kept calm, and I finished it, and, unfortunately, he ended up going to sleep.
What was it like for you to get your first UFC win?
Man, the excitement and the feeling was unreal. I mean, it was like getting my first MMA win. I mean, my first amateur win, it was like, such a big accomplishment, but words can't even describe how good it felt to finally be in the highest level that there is in MMA and win in that organization.
Now, I'm sure getting the win felt absolutely amazing, but let's talk about what else happened afterwards. Now, how pleased were you to get the performance of the night bonus?
The whole night I was kind of sitting there watching the fight, like thinking to myself, please no one else get a submission, please no one else get a submission. I mean, because being 20 years old, $50,000 is life-changing for me. I mean, and I after the fight, I kind of had like a weird, strange feeling that I would have got it, or that I was going to get it. And then when it happened, and I got the message, or that I saw the tweet, I told my teammate, I was like, oh my God, I got it. And he was freaking out, I was freaking out. And it's still pretty surreal to me, and it's such, it's really well deserved and well earned. I mean, I put myself through a lot to be in this position that I'm at. I've sacrificed ridiculous amounts, and I feel like it's well earned for me.
I mean, it's fair to say that you're quite early on in your career. You're still working your way up the rankings. How big is it for a fighter like yourself at the stage you're at in your career to get a bonus like that?
It's a big deal. I mean, but unfortunately, or not unfortunately, but I'm gonna be smart about it. I have a really good head on my shoulders, not to just go and buy cars and do whatever else. A lot of it will go into investment on how I even got it in the first place. I mean, I'll use it obviously to better my career, whether it's not dieting or a strength and conditioning coach, whatever it may be. It'll all go to good cause, and I'll be smart with all of it.
So now that you've got your first win in the UFC, have you got your eye on anybody you'd like to face next?
I'm not much for calling people out. I just fight who they tell me to. I mean, all my manager has to say is where they want you to fight so and so, and I just ask where do I sign. So I mean, as far as fights that I think would be fun, I have quite a few involved in mind. I mean, I really feel like it'd be a fun fight for me to fight Scott Jorgensen. I mean, he's pretty seasoned, but it makes sense, I feel like. But I mean, other than that, I'm going with whoever they throw at me.
Excellent. Okay, well, I really appreciate you giving me your time, and like as I said at the start of the call, thank you. Congratulations on getting your first UFC victory.
No, thank you. I appreciate it.
Before we let you go, Ray, I'd like to give you a chance to do some shout-outs. So if there's anyone you want to thank, I know a lot of people help you get ready for this fight, and also if you want to shout out your sponsors as well.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like to shout out On It Nutrition, Unleash Sports, also my gym and my team. I can't do it without them, and everyone who's been behind me since day one, supporting me.
Well, thank you very much for your time, and I can't wait to see you step back into that octagon again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me on.